Adam Lavelle, owner and founder of the Noah Network and the IIWC, the Intelligent Internet Wrestling Community. I'm here today to talk about Pro Wrestling Noah Junior Tag League Tournament show that happened on the 21st. That was yesterday. There's another one that happened today that I will be covering later tonight. But for now, we're going to take a look at the show that happened on the 21st. Now, as I go into this, I want you to understand that if you're a regular viewer, I appreciate you very much, and I think you're awesome and incredible, even if in real life we wouldn't get along at all. If you're following me, you're one of the best out there. You are a member of the IIWC, and there aren't too many of us, so thank you. But I want you to understand that if you're following me here on the Noah Network, you pretty much likely know how Puresso works. And I'm sure a lot of you could explain it better than I can. Okay, not because I don't get it, but because trying to explain how Puresso works compared to American wrestling is tough. It's vastly different. Okay, but yet in some ways very much the same. So as I give you this review of this show, I'm going to take some extra time to explain the stories, okay? Because a lot of American fans, well, pretty much all American wrestling fans, just have to have their stories. And to me, stories are what your grandmother watched when you were a small boy back when she was babysitting you. And if you're pretty young watching this, your great-grandmother, okay? They were soap operas. That's a story. I don't like when fans explain professional wrestling as a male soap opera. That's cringy as hell. I'm not a big fan of that. I get what they're trying to do, but I don't like it because it paints professional wrestling as over-the-top ridiculous. And some of you are going to be like, well, professional wrestling is over-the-top and ridiculous. Okay, you aren't part of the IIWC. You can go your merry way, my friend. You're not going to fit in here, okay? I'm not going to take a lengthy amount of time to explain my feelings about what pro wrestling is and why it is what it is. All right, but as I talk about these matches, I'm going to paint the picture of what the story, the angle is behind everything that's going on in Pro Wrestling Noah, because there are just as many stories in Pro Wrestling Noah as there are in WWE, AEW, or anywhere else. They're just not told backstage. They're not told at an interview podium. They're not told in a vignette. They're not told in their car in the parking lot. That's not how stories, angles are told and presented in Puresso, and it's why I love Puresso. Puresso, Japanese professional wrestling, in case you don't know that term. Puresso is presented like a sport for the most part, okay? You are watching an athletic contest where the athletes in these contests aren't there to talk about their personal lives and their children and their wives and what have you. They're there to win a professional wrestling match. And the stories about what's going on and why they're fighting, who they're fighting, are told in the ring. In the ring. Okay? Let me explain it to you. The first match here, again, on February 21st, this was yesterday on the new Noah Junior Tag League show. That does not mean all the matches are tag league matches, okay? There's just a few. That's another thing. Some of you don't like tournaments. Okay, if you don't like straight-up wrestling, I hear Jim Cornette bitch about tournaments. Don't watch Puresso. It's not for you. They use tournaments quite frequently. But the first match in this show, on the 21st, was not a tag league match. It was a tag team match, but it was not a tag league match. It wasn't part of the tournament. But we saw Galeno and Alejandro from the faction, from the unit, All Rebellion, take on Mark True and Kieran Lacey. Now, Kieran Lacey and Mark True are these sort of slimy-ish, cocky, overly arrogant young guys that have come in from Essex, England, to try to put Noah on notice. They're in this tournament, but this isn't a tournament match, and they've won their fair share of matches. They are looking good. Galeno, formerly known as Galeno Del Mal, and Alejandro are, like I said, part of All Rebellion, one of the biggest units, biggest factions in Pro Wrestling Noah. So the angle here are two guys from All Rebellion, the kick-ass crew, stable, taking on these young punks who are coming in here trying to prove who they are and what they're about. Yeah, that's all. That's why they're fighting. These two punks want to take on. Galeno's a big, huge, monstrous guy. I mean, he's just a beast. Alejandro, much smaller, but he is your resident luchador, if you will. There are several luchadors in Noah, like there are several luchadors in every company on God's earth. But he's really a long-time luchador, a Japanese luchador, if you will. Galeno is actually from Mexico, comes from the famous family of Dr. Wagner. He's his son, the brother of Eligio del Dr. Wagner Jr. That's a mouthful, I know. But that's the son of Dr. Wagner Jr. This is his other son. But he dropped the Del Mal off and just goes by Galeno now. So we got two guys from All Rebellion plant their flag and stand at Noah like they rule against these two young, they really do remind me of the New Breed and not that silly gimmick. They got a similar look. They got a similar feel. They're not baby faces. They're just the opposite, but something about them puts me in the mind of the New Breed from back in this day, right? Back in Jim Crockett Promotions, way back in the day. This match was very good. It was about Lacey and True trying to get over the much bigger, Del Mal's like 6'3", 6'4", 320 pounds or something. He's gigantic. Okay, Alejandro's probably 5'10", 220. So you got a great team. I love when they take a big guy and a small guy. You got the power, you got the speed, and together they make a great team. And that's what Galeno and Alejandro do here, but not great enough. Because, damn it, True and Lacey get one over by taking out Alejandro and pinning him, and then they leave the ring as quickly as they can because they don't want Galeno, tossing him around in his anger. So there you have a nice little win by these young Essex punks that have come into Noah to try to prove they're the best, and getting a big win over All Rebellion is a big damn deal. And that will stand out for the rest of this tournament, and honestly, for a long time here in Pro Wrestling Noah. That's a terrific pro wrestling angle. The second match, Anthony Green versus Black Menzo Ray. I've told you all I typically fast forward Black Menzo Ray matches, and I followed that advice here, that system here, if you will. I watched the first minute or two. Black Menzo Ray is a comedy wrestler. I do not like or appreciate comedy wrestlers, but because some people in the crowd do. Some people in the crowd want to see some gaga in some horse shit. Black Menzo Ray is for you. Now, he's not putting a puppet on his hand and pretending it's a cobra, although he does do something with his hand where he pokes guys in the eye. Not quite as bad as putting a dragon puppet on it or whatever Santino used to do. I didn't watch that crap back then. But he just acts up. He's really good at dodging and getting out of the way of others' offense. Anthony Green is a very offensive wrestler. Very, very good. Probably one of the best guy genes in pro wrestling, Noah. But I didn't watch this match because I can't stand Black Menzo Ray. Anthony Green wins it. I believe he used a Boston Crab because I watched the last couple seconds and gets the win over Black Menzo Ray. Now, angles, what are we talking about here? Okay. Granted, the only angle here is to present the crowd with comedy relief. A guy out there that they sort of root for in a way, although Green is well-liked. And they like watching him get beat, honestly. It feels that way to me. It feels like the crowd likes watching Black Menzo Ray's antics, but in the end, they sort of get a kick out of him getting his ass kicked. Once in a while, he gets the win, and the crowd is like pleasantly shocked. Like, ooh, I got a win. I don't care about it, okay? It's one thing Noah does that I don't agree with and that I don't like. Just as Black Menzo Ray. He belongs in another company. Noah doesn't need this stuff, in my opinion. The third match, Naomichi Marufuji. I always have a hard time with that legend's name. Naomichi Marufuji. And Takashi Zagura. And Muhammad Yone. And Ulka Sasaki. That's one team. Because this is an 8-man tag team matchup. Took on Masaki Tamiya, Eita, Daiki Odashima, and Zozea. Look, I don't like this many men in a match. I don't like 8-man, 9 with the ref. 9 people in the ring. That's like, this is what the ring looks like. The way it's covering my face, it covers the canvas. It's just painted with wrestlers everywhere. But this was solid. This was very good because it continues to tell the story, present the angle of Daiki Odashima being the next man, if you will. Now, he's still small. I don't know if he'll ever build himself up to heavyweight or not. I kind of hope so. Not because there's anything wrong with the juniors, but honestly, let's be fair. Let's be true. You really only get the most hype you can get in wrestling if you're a heavyweight. That's just the truth. Noah's juniors are known throughout the world as some of the best juniors out there. And having the junior championship, the junior heavyweight championship in Noah, is another big angle. It's another big story. That belt in and of itself, now that's the heavyweight championship there. The juniors, it's more of a silverish color. It doesn't look quite like the heavyweight title, but it is coveted. The juniors want that. That belt is an angle, is a story in and of itself. They eye that, and we've had friends turn on friends because they want that title. We've had friends team with enemies because they want that title. And here we got a young boy, very, very new in the business, less than a year. Okay, Daiki Odashima, remember that name. Now, did some of these other wrestlers stand out and look good and look strong? Of course. Marufuji, Segura, Ione, and Sasaki won the match, okay, when they took out Odashima. Because he's got to earn his keep. He's got to earn his way up. But my God, he looked great. Masa Kitamiya always looks incredible. Okay, Eita, one of the best juniors in the world, always looks incredible. Zozoya, I'm still getting to know him, but he's pretty strong, pretty good, pretty solid. But this match, the angle, the story, even though if one of your favorites, one of these other guys, like I love Takashi Segura. I love Masa Kitamiya. But man, the angle, the story of Odashima, even in defeat, looking like the next big thing for pro wrestling. Though the future is bright because we have Daiki Odashima. And he lost. His team lost here. But that's the story. That's the angle. That is what has you on the edge of your seat, loving every minute of this. And I normally hate 8-man tag team matches. But this was solid. Very much. The fourth match, the Noah Junior Tag League Block B. So this is a tag league tournament matchup. Atsushi Kotogi and Hajime Ohara, they are Team Noah, took on Jun Miyosaka and Gaya Hoax. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm still learning. They are F-Swag. Jun Masaoka and Gaia Hoax. Pretty sure that's how you say it. I didn't know earlier who the blonde was. The blonde in that team is Jun Masaoka. And he's the better of the two. Although Gaia Hawks is good. He's solid. This is a good team. Okay, what is the angle? What is this? Okay, Kotogi and Ohara are long-time legends here. Especially Ohara. I mean, Kotogi's been around a long time, too. They aren't old, but they've been around a long time. And they have been the junior heavyweight champion. They are multi-time junior tag team champions. They have done everything there is to do. But they don't want to hang it up. They don't want to go to the back burner. They don't want to be defeated by this team who came in from, I don't know, like the Japanese independents or somewhere. Forgive me for not knowing F-Swag's past, dealings. I just don't. But let me tell you, F-Swag has an incredible look. I mean, they personally look good. Their gear looks good. That's important to a wrestling snob like me. They look great. Kotogi and Ohara look good too, but I don't know. There was not confusion as you typically see in American wrestling where neither one of these teams were bumping into each other and hitting the other opponent by mistake. That happens in Puro here or there, but I don't want to paint the picture that happened here. The story here is Kotogi and Ohara trying to kick, scratch, scrape, crawl, bite, do whatever they can. They're not heels, but they got to do whatever they can to get back, to come back, to show the world that they're not relegated to putting others over. You know what I mean? This isn't the down period of their careers where the people they're wrestling, the tag team they're wrestling, the F-Swag, I don't know what that means, sorry, are the total opposite. They're coming in, much like True and Lacey earlier, to prove that they're the next big deal. And when we see True and Lacey versus F-Swag, that's going to be a gigantic deal because it's two teams trying to show Pro Wrestling Noah, a legendary company, that they belong. And F-Swag proved it here, beating Kotogi and Ohara, and you could see the frustration in Ohara and Kotogi's face. They're so frustrated with the losses. They're so frustrated with their careers. Both of them have got to do something. Ohara is incredible. I like Kotogi, but he's never, lit the world on fire for me. Ohara, one of the best juniors ever. I've said that about a few people here, but it's true. Putting over Noah's junior division again. It's full of incredible wrestlers, including Hajime Ohara. So I'm rooting for him, but both of them need to do something. And every time you watch them wrestle, you're wondering, is this it? Are they going to win this one? Are they going to prove something here? We still have to keep waiting, and that's the angle. That's what grabs you. That's what should get a wrestling fan, not some actor who used to be a wrestler coming out there talking smack to the other wrestlers as if he's a god, which I saw people call him. Yeah, I'm talking about The Rock. I don't like to mix mainstream American crap with my Noah, but I'm trying to make a point here. A wrestling fan should crave an angle, a story like the one I just told you about. Two wrestlers trying to remain relevant against two wrestlers trying to become relevant. That sounds simple, But if told rightly in the ring, and the way the match is contested, and the way you make the crowd feel in that contestment, right? That is what a wrestling fan should crave. Like, oh, who's going to win this? And it's going to matter for either team. If either team, I mean, who would be hurt worse with a loss? Who would be helped better with a win? Oh, man, I'm intrigued by this. No, not some fans. They need some celebrity coming out and flapping their gums. They need to go get an influencer and teach them how to wrestle. Now, that's not what wrestling was ever supposed to be. Ever. And it never was until Vince McMahon came along. And then all of a sudden, here comes sports entertainment. The next matchup, okay, I'm going to lost my place here a little bit, was another junior tag league match in the B block. Asuka and Junta Miyawaki took on Tadasuke and Yuto Kikuchi. Asuka and Junta Miyawaki, again, are two juniors. These are all juniors. This is a junior tag league tournament, right? So, of course, they're juniors. Asuka, again, top 5 of the best juniors in the world, not just Noah, in the damn world. Junta Miyawaki, still pretty young in the business. This might be his 3rd, 4th year. I don't recall exactly. But he's changed his look. He's got like an orange gear. He's got like orange colored hair. Don't think like clown orange. He looks okay. He's just really trying to stand out, trying to look different. And Tadasuke has been around a little while. He's part of the Passionate Rattels, along with Yuto Kikuchi, who just came off the Japanese independence about a year and a half ago or so. And he's had to prove himself in Noah. And he's done a pretty good job. He's actually impressed me at this point. Took him a while. I didn't dislike the guy, but I'm like, he wrestled like an indie wrestler. He looked like an indie wrestler. He walked, he talked. If I got close to him, he probably smelled like an indie wrestler. He's shaking most of that off now, and he looks professional. He fits in Pro Wrestling Noah, along with Tadasuke. Tadasuke was a little bit goofy when he came in a couple years ago, but he's shaking that off, and he's become the rock star, which may be, a little bit of a silly gimmick, but he lives it. He plays it up. It's believable. He doesn't have to carry a guitar and sing and swing his hips. Nah. But he wears the headband, he wears the leather jacket, he has the wet hair. That's just his look, that's his style, that's his gimmick. A gimmick doesn't have to be embarrassingly stupid. Someone who presents himself like a rock star doesn't actually have to sing and dance and carry a guitar. They actually don't have to do that. And Tadasuke is great at proving that. So this is a terrific match. Look, granted, the story of this is pretty much a major tournament matchup. Asuka and Miyawaki are very close to qualifying for the finals here. I think they may have qualified when they won, because they won this matchup here, an incredible matchup against the Rattels, the Passionate Rattels. They're called the Passionate Rattels now. They were always called the Rattels, but they had brought Manabu Soya in, who his gimmick is he's passionate for professional wrestling. He's bursting at the seams, a big, massive, hulking man who's just killing people with clotheslines and Death Valley drivers and brainbusters. And he's joined them, and now they're the Passionate Rattels. Look, not every name translates well in English. It just doesn't. The Passionate Rattels sound kind of like, what? But it works in Japan. Trust me. But big win. Asuka, Junta Miyawaki looked like he was going to cry after this, showing real legitimate emotion for the work that he's put in to become who he is. And we've been along for the ride. We've been along for the ride with the Rattels, so it was kind of disappointing seeing them lose. But this, again, was an edge-of-your-seat tag team matchup won by Asuka and Miyawaki, who, Miyawaki was so emotional, I think they might have qualified for the finals or are like a step away or something. Unfortunately, I can't understand Japanese, but I'll read about it here soon. The semifinal main event, Kenoh and Kenta. The angle, the story here is that the return of the mighty Kenta, who spent too many years in WWE Wasteland. I can't even remember what they renamed him, but it was ridiculous. I hated it from the start. They took away his go to sleep for CM Punk because Kenta was using the go to sleep. I think he invented it. He was using it way before CM Punk couldn't use it in WWE. Never really became anything. Went off, worked a lot of indies, worked MLW, God bless him. Worked New Japan, and I think he was in House of Torture. God, that's like, I pity you for that. And he was pretty much turned into a comedic relief almost. He was goopy. Kenta is a kick-ass, badass kicker, striker, MMA style performer that if he doesn't have that, he doesn't have anything. Kenoh is the same style. When Kenoh found out that Kenta was coming back, not just appearing here or there for Noah, but has signed a deal, Keno just, I mean, he got excited. He got exuberated. He wanted Kenta so badly to team with him, to work with him, that he quit the faction he was in. He was in All Rebellion, and he quit it. And that's the angle, that's the story. Keno, the badass, the multiple-time GHC heavyweight champion, said, I want to team with this man so bad, I'm quitting the faction that was hot stuff and I was doing just fine in, because I want to join him. I want him to join me. Kenta agrees, and they are a badass tag team right now. They took on Kaito Kiyomiya and Kai Fujimura. That's two of the members of All Rebellion. Now, when Keno quit, it wasn't a big fight. He shook their hands and says, this is what I want to do instead. But there is some contention there, and you could see it in this match. There was not a big pull-apart brawl that we have to see every damn week on American television. There was not a pull-apart brawl. When Keno left, they actually did so politely and kindly with a handshake. But you can feel the contention bubbling up at times in matches like this. That makes more sense. You watch the slow build of it. You have to use your mind as you watch these four battle it out. Kaito Kiyomiya and Keno have had some of the greatest matches in modern day Noah history, maybe all-time history. They are incredible together. Kai Fujimura is still building himself up, so he was the weak link here, and he went down with a double professional foot stomp, PFS. Kenta hit a double foot stomp from the top rope. Immediately after, Keno hit his. That's going to take anybody out, including the younger Kai Fujimura, given the big win. I think Keno and Kenta are undefeated. They win an emotional match over Keno's former faction. That's the story. That's the angle. That's the build. That you can see that happening. Is this going to lead to something greater? And further down the line, when Keno and Kenta split up, and that'll happen. They won't rush it like many American companies would, but when it happens, that's going to be a draw. That's going to be money. That's going to be main events around Japan. But for now, enjoy the incredible team of Keno and Kenta as they go on to face numerous people. And that in and of itself is an amazing story, is an amazing angle. Period. The main event here saw Team 2000X, the biggest rule breakers in pro wrestling, Noah, Ozawa, the GHC heavyweight champion, Tetsuya Endo, who came over from DDT to join this group, and Owada-san, one of my favorite young guys, up there with Daiki Odashima. I'm not quite that high, but I'm still a big fan of Owada, who now goes by Owada-san, taking on Manabu Soya, the man who's the most passionate man. I mean, he is incredible with the passion. The story of Manabu Soya is that he was just a grunt in the group Congo, which I have a t-shirt of. That group's been disbanded for a year or so. Love that group. But Manabu Soya was just their little grunt boy who did whatever they said. They called him their enforcer, but he hardly ever won a match. He has rebuilt himself. He was always a big jack guy, but he has cut weight. He is firmed up. He looks like $1 million. He is scary, and he's just killing people with monstrous big guy moves. And he has joined the Rattels, who joined him here. The GHC Junior Tag Team Champions, Hayata and Yohei, multiple times. I don't know, like 8 times, like maybe more. They have held the GHC Junior title so many times, I've lost count and can't remember. So the national champion, Manabu Soya, who beat Tetsuya Endo, who's on the other team here for that title, so that draws heat. Soya has also challenged Ozawa to put both titles on the line, and he agreed. So their upcoming match here in a few weeks, Ozawa with the GHC title and Manabu Soya with the GHC national title. The match is for both belts. So, of course, this just furthers that story, that angle, what have you. This is probably the number one babyface team in the company, the Passionate Rattels, against the number one heel team faction in this company. Ozawa versus Soya, Hayata and Yohei versus Endo and Owada-san. This was just money. That's the angle. That's the story. That's the gimme. That makes you want to see it. What is Ozawa going to do against Soya? This is a preview of their upcoming title versus title match. So I want to see every time they touch each other. I want to see what Yohei and Hayata can do against Endo and Owada-san. I want to see that. Even if Endo and Owada-san hasn't officially declared as a tag team or anything like that, that's still an interesting take. What can Hayata and Yohei do against Ozawa? And again, this is a great main event, edge of your seat stuff. The Passionate Rattels, the good guys win the match. They chase Ozawa, Endo, and Owada-san, who Owada-san was the one who got taken out. He's the younger one. Sometimes the biggest fault of Puresso is you can find the youngest person in a match even an 8-man, 10-man match, and that's who's getting pinned. 100% of the time, no, but too often. And I'm not saying that's a horrible thing, but it's a big predictor and easy to figure out what's going to happen too often. Not all the time, but too often. This show was an 8.5 out of 10. I'm only shaving a little bit off because of Black Men's Hooray, which will happen often because he's in a lot of shows. And yeah, I skip him, and it doesn't affect me personally, and I'm trying to get over it to a degree, but it's still there. And Noah is just suffering for comedy because they don't need it. Noah's not been about that. I'm sure they disagree. They think maybe it'll draw in a handful of more fans. Oh, they got a comedy guy. That'll be funny. I don't know. I think we'll also chase away people who like the serious stuff. That's just my personal opinion, but I'm not like flipping out about it. It's just not for me, and it's going to hurt my reviews to a degree, but Noah is absolutely worth it. If you're tired of sports entertainment, if you're tired of The Rock asking Cody to give him his soul, what the hell, then come on over to Wrestling Done Right. I'm going to still watch WWE. I'm still going to talk about it. It's a big thing in our culture here in America, and I love wrestling, and when they do wrestling right, like Gunther and stuff, although they're probably going to make him lose to that goopy yeet guy, I watch it because it's American. It's part of the culture. I sort of enjoy talking about it, but it's never going to reach the level that Noah is for me. Acknowledge them.